But log tongs are kind of like tongs designed to help you pick up rounds of firewood, normally between like 4 to maybe 16-inch rounds, which traditionally to pick those up in the past, you know, you have to squat down really low and you have to get all the way on the ground to scoop those up, and it's just really awkward. So one of the tools that I came across online, log tongs, and went on Amazon, started looking around. You know, you can buy them really cheap for $16, but the good ones, you know, they're like $80. So money's tight right now. I didn't want to spend the money on that, so you know, I've collected all these tools and materials over the year, so I decided that I was going to make my own. So one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I've acquired over the years is this welding table. Bought this out of Philadelphia for $400, probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago now. But when I want to build something, typically what I do, I grab a piece of soapstone and I just kind of draw a general idea of what it is that I want to build, and then I kind of scale up from there. So basically what I did, I went online and looked up log tongs, and I kind of copied the designs of the log tongs that I found online. So I drew a picture of a log, and then I just kind of drew a rough image of what I was thinking would work out well. So what I did then is I went around the shop and I looked for what I had on hand. I had some of this stock. This is like 1 inch by quarter flat stock, and I also had some horseshoes. These are horseshoes. So the horseshoes kind of fit the radius of the bends that I wanted to make for these tongs. So what I did, I cut a couple pieces of horseshoe, and let's just go together. Yeah, I cut a couple pieces of horseshoe, a couple pieces of flat stock, and then I kind of matched what I had drawn on the table, and this is what it looks like. What I'm going to do now is assemble this, and then we're going to test to see how well it works. But overall, this is just kind of like how I bring a design I have in my head to life. And you don't have to go right to steel. You know, if you're designing something like this, from here you could kind of cut some cardboard cutouts and then just kind of test your design there. Maybe grab a scrap piece of wood and just kind of, I don't know, put some pins through the cardboard, and just, you know, what you're trying to do is build like a proof of concept. But for something like this, I decided to kind of go right to full scale, and I tested it out the other day and it works really well. So let's put this together and see how well it works. Now when it comes to assembly here, the only question that I really have is whether I should have a washer in between these moving parts, right? Because this is gonna kind of like articulate. Well, it's gonna scissor rather. So I'm thinking if I put a washer in between these friction points, maybe it'll reduce a bit of friction. So anyway, I'm going to start off with some 1/4 inch bolts. These are all stainless steel bolts and washers that I've actually salvaged over the years. You know, anytime I was at a garage sale or estate sale or just any place that had hardware, most people think of hardware as kind of like a waste of time. You know, it's just easier to throw it out. But let me tell you, if the budget's tight and you have the time and energy to sort out hardware, it can become quite the valuable resource. So I guess we'll give this a try, putting washers in between these two friction points. We can always take these out later. No big deal there. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get these bolts set right. What I'm trying to do is remove as much slack out of this bolt as possible. Like, I want to remove the slop out of this scissor mechanism, and the thing is, if I make this bolt, or if I make this nut too tight, then the whole tool becomes very hard to move. But if I make it too loose, then there's an excess amount of slop in the scissor mechanism. So just kind of fine-tuning that right now. Initially, I was thinking to lock the nut off. I don't have lock nuts. Lock nuts or nylock nuts would actually be ideal in this situation, but I don't have those. So initially I was thinking I'd just cut off the extra threads off the bolt head, but I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'll probably just double nut it. I'll put a second nut on here and then kind of torque those opposed to each other, and that'll lock those nuts on there. They don't stick out that far, and I don't really see it being a problem, so I'm going to get the rest of these squared away, and we'll check back in a moment here, and we'll give this thing a test. So here are the completed log tongs. As you can see, I added a couple pieces of reflective tape on there. just to help me find this if I drop it in the dirt, but I'm really happy with how this thing came out. As you can see, things slide effortlessly. Now, if I were to do this project over again, there'd be two things that I'd change. For one, I'd offset these jaws a little bit so that when they close, the two teeth don't come in contact with one another, because I want to keep those teeth as sharp as possible. The other thing that I would change is this handle. Now, when you go to pick up a log, kind of tilt this thing back and it hooks right on the log, and as you can see, this is such a handy tool. The thing I dislike about the handle is to release the log, you got to kind of tilt this thing forward to pull the pressure off this front jaw. So what I would do to change this tool to make it better is I'd have more of an overhang off the front of this tool. So that way, when you go to release a log, you have something that you could kind of adjust your hand on and kind of like lift upward and forward to remove that front jaw. But aside from that, I mean, I'm still figuring out how to use this tool a little bit myself. But I mean, traditionally you'd have to squat, get down low to pick up this log here. But with this thing, all you do, oh, try that again. You can pick it up like so, right in the middle. It's just so nice because, you know, this tool is maybe 18 inches long, something like that. So that's just 18 inches less that you have to bend down and put that wear and tear on your body to pick up a log. But so you could pick it up right in the middle, or you could pick it up on the end like so. And let me just tell you, I'm loving this thing so far. You know, why go out and spend 80 bucks on one of these when you could make one yourself? Baby could about handle logs up to about 12 inches, but you could design this thing so that it opens significantly wider. But you know, when you start getting bigger than 12 inches, you just got to be careful how much weight you're picking up. But yeah, it'd be no problem at all to make this open wider by adding extensions on these arms here, and then it closes right up tight. Which, I mean, you can pick up some small pieces. It just does best with any piece kind of 4 inches and larger.